Meanwhile, in a heart-wrenching tragedy that has shocked the nation, at least 20 people were burnt to death and several others suffered severe injuries when a private bus travelling from Hyderabad to Bengaluru caught fire. The incident occurred on National Highway 44 near Chinnatekur village in Kurnool district in Andhra Pradesh after the bus collided with a two-wheeler. Officials said that the bus was carrying around 40 passengers, most of whom were asleep at the time of the accident. 4 fire engines were rushed to the spot, but the bus was reduced to ashes before the flames were brought under control. Forensic teams have been deployed to collect DNA samples as the bodies were charred beyond recognition. Now, here is how the tragedy unfolded. We're talking about a private luxury sleeper bus operated by Kaveri Travels, which was traveling from Hyderabad to Bengaluru. Near the Chinnatekur village, close to the Alampur crossroads, the bus collided with a motorcycle. Preliminary reports suggest that the bus struck a motorcycle, causing it to get lodged under the bus's chassis near the fuel tank. The impact ruptured the bus's fuel tank, spilling diesel onto the road. Sparks, likely from metal scraping or electrical damage, ignited the fuel, causing an immediate fire. The flames spread rapidly from the front underside of the bus, where the motorcycle was strapped, to the entire vehicle. The fire was fueled by diesel and possibly flammable materials within the bus's structure. Most passengers were asleep in their sleeper berths. The sudden jolt of the collision and the smell of smoke woke up some people, while others were alerted by screams. Electrical wiring damage from the fire reportedly caused the doors to jam, trapping passengers inside. This left the emergency window as the only escape route. Awake passengers began breaking emergency windows to escape. Nearby villagers, alerted by the blaze, rushed to the scene and helped pull passengers out through the broken windows before emergency services arrived. Fire services were alerted promptly and 4 fire engines from Kurnool and nearby areas were dispatched. However, the fire's intensity meant that the bus was fully engulfed by the time they arrived. Firefighters controlled the blaze, but the bus was charred. The injured was suffering at this point in time from severe burns already, smoke inhalation and trauma. They were rushed to Kurnool Government General Hospital. That's the tragedy that has unfolded. Visuals of the rescue on your screens right now. Before we bring in our guests, my colleague Belly Thomas joins us on the broadcast with the latest information from the ground. Belly, firstly, what is the update on the people who have survived this accident?
Of people, Devika, there are a little over a dozen people who have escaped this major fire accident involving the Volvo bus, which was bound to Bengaluru from Hyderabad. And these people who were, one of the passengers has told that almost all of them were asleep when the accident happened, and the bus had around 41 passengers on board, and most of them were asleep, except for 2 or 3 people who woke up to flames engulfing the bus from the front. They initially thought it was some other accident, and it took some time for them to actually realize that the bus has caught fire. And then they started running around and waking up all the people. But by then, like you said, the doors were jammed because of a possible electrical short circuit. And then this bus had met with an accident with a two-wheeler that was caught underneath the belly of the bus, and which had dragged over a distance, which had caused sparks. And the fuel tank of the bike is what said to be caused the initial fire, is what said, because the Director Inspector General of Police, Koya Praveen, who had investigated into this incident, had said that the fuel tank of the bus is seen intact. And since the inflammable parts of the bus caught fire, within minutes, the entire bus was engulfed with flames, and people had less opportunity to escape. There were only the rear window, the rear glass panes that were broken broke open and people had to jump from that height onto the road. Several of them were injured and they had to be dragged from the road to the sides, is what eyewitnesses say. And by the time the fire and emergency services arrived with four fire engines, the fire has already caught up with the entire bus, and the entire bus had burnt, and some bodies around 11 or 12 by afternoon were only identified, because all the others were charred beyond recognition. And now the forensic team is underway, conducting their investigations to identify the remains and name actually the witnesses. A special team from Karnataka has gone to Kurnool to find out if any passengers from Karnataka are involved in the bus accident. But as of now, the sources say that a lot of people who were from Hyderabad were the ones who were on board on this bus, which is a routine luxury sleeper Volvo coach, which was bound to Bengaluru from Hyderabad. And the incident happened between 2:30 and 3 is what we gather at the National Highway 44. Now, the transport department, the district administration, and the local fire and emergency services are all multi-pronged. They are working in a multi-pronged manner to actually find out like what exactly is the cause, to ascertain the cause of this accident. And it initially looks like the collision with the bike had caused it. But having said that, this Volvo is raising safety concerns on passengers, which they consider that Volvo is a very safe mode of transport, and this has caused a kind of concern among commuters or travelers who are taking public transport. And the transport department is doing whatever it could to kind of salvage the issue and to compensate the victims of the families who have lost their loved ones, and also the injured people who have been admitted to the Kurnool Government General Hospital.
Okay. All right. Belly, stay on with me. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Also joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, Mr. Tutu Dhawan, auto analyst, and Mr. Anurag Kushrestha, road safety expert, with us as well. Let me begin with Mr. Dhawan. Mr. Dhawan, I have to understand from you, a smaller conversation would be about whose fault it was, whether it was the bus driver's fault, whether it was the person on the two-wheeler, was it his fault, how did the accident happen? But this prompts for a much larger conversation about safety in public transport vehicles at the end of the day, because we're talking about a bus whose systems jammed as soon as the bus caught fire, and that possibly was one of the major reasons why most of the people were not saved. How do we take this conversation forward, and how do we ensure that there is now proper policy that's implemented as far as such large vehicles are concerned?
First of all, I offer my condolences to the kin of the bereaved, and also the people who got injured. But however, an accident is an accident, and unless one goes personally or through a team to go and investigate what the cause is, obviously, I can't be sitting here and telling you that. But nevertheless, I can give my little advice to whatever it is worth. Firstly, I think it is the negligence on the part of either the bus driver or the two-wheeler. Two-wheelers, as you know, they try to ride right in the center of the road, and they become very arrogant sometimes when somebody asks for a pass. They don't want to do that. So I hope it was not one of those cases. And the other, of course, is an accident in a situation like this that involves supposedly a very safe vehicle, a safe brand. Volvo is supposed to be the safest brand in the world. But unfortunately, what I have noticed is it is so high that once it gets into an accident in a situation like this that has happened now, where there are so many electronics and electrical controls inside that those things get jammed, so it is becomes virtually impossible for the people stranded inside to jump down. You know, it is almost jumping down 6 to 8 feet to reach the ground, and to have people above 60 and elders trying to do that, it is jumping into a well by itself. So these certain safety features, I think, need to be readdressed, and the manufacturers, including the governance, they need to address all these things to be able to make road travel safer. This is not the first time that an accident like this has happened. There have been many cases like this which have happened earlier also, but unfortunately, the authorities turn a blind eye towards it, and they have never been able to enforce the rules of the game properly. And in this case, also, I blame the authorities for not having taken any initiative in trying to make road safety a safer way of traveling by road.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Kushrestha into the conversation as well. Mr. Kushrestha, your first thoughts as well on this tragedy, because like I said, we will get further details once the investigation unfolds, once the police also does its initial investigation and prepares the reports on what exactly happened. But at the end of the day, this begs for a much larger conversation, because essentially people could have been saved had there just been a very clear safety mechanism in such a case. We've seen this happening even in cases of cars and other vehicles getting locked when they get stuck, for example, in a flood. And that requires a much larger policy conversation with those that are building these vehicles to begin with.
Yeah, well, there we go. Actually, what happens in almost all the European countries, such buses are banned due to the safety standards, because they are not complying with all the safety standards over there. So it is banned everywhere, almost in all European countries. And just what is the problem behind it? This is a crashworthiness, emergency exit, and the fire safety. These are the three compliances which are not fulfilled by any of these buses, but blindly we are allowing these buses in India. I think we have not the tendency to learn anything from the world. Whatever it's not allowed over there, it is allowed in India. So, and it is happening number of times. Almost every month we are having such incidents in India. And what's that? Is IG's allowing this thing, or the saying something to the public after the crash investigation? Is he the competent authority? Does he know about the crash investigation? How can he announce that thing? So it is based on the, like, CIRT is the organization in India who is passing or who is checking all these vehicles, such vehicles. So why don't we learn or make the policy something which is happening already existing in European countries, and we are allowing these buses in India? Hardly anyone, like we have raised our voice number of times to the central government, state governments, at least start the awareness, like in aeroplanes. Whenever you are starting a journey, you are informed by the crew that these are the possibilities and how to open the emergency door and all these things. These buses are having a single door, not doors. Single door for the exit and single door for the entry, for both. And generally these single door is blocked by the companion of the driver in the bus, and it is closed. It's like a taboot. In case of any incident, nobody can get out from this particular door, the front door. Second thing, there must be a hammer in every bus at 5 or 6 locations in the bus, so that people can break the glass and come out of that. And in a sleeping system, sleeping mode, sleeping buses, it is not possible to come down these passengers from first inside the bus and then go to outside the buses. So we have to make the policy, we have to think earlier, because government is only responsible for all these things, for allowing such buses in India. They must learn from the European countries or the developed countries why they are allowing this, what are the policies, and what is the policy to be made in India. So all these things, then Precautionary measurement, yes, if these buses are allowed, hammers must be placed at every window, and there must be an announcement before starting the journey. Yes, how to break the glass in case of emergency. So people are not aware of that, and whenever there's such incidences happening, they are running here and there. Ultimately, they are choked in one caboose. They can't run here and there. If one or two people are coming out, it's happening everywhere. Just I think last week also there was an incident like this, and every month such accidents are happening. But we have to learn out of that, and media must raise the voice about to making the policies to the government.
Okay,
Yes,
all
please.